The University of Queensland Diamantina Institute is a world-leading biomedical research facility focused on cancer, arthritis, diabetes and bone diseases. It's based here at the Translational Research Institute in Brisbane. The Institute's researchers work closely with clinician scientists in order to discover the mechanisms behind diseases relating to cancer, immunology and genomic medicine, and then to find suitable treatments.
Diamantina Institute is one of University of Queensland's major health and medical research institutes. We grew out of the Princess Alexandra Hospital and became an institute in 2007. At that point we had to decide what we were going to call ourselves, and so we decided to take the name of Lady Diamantina, who is the wife of Sir George Bowen, the first Governor of Queensland. Back in the 1850s, Lady Diamantina came to Brisbane and established on the site of Princess Alexandra Hospital a healthcare facility which has continued until this day, and hence we felt that that was an appropriate name for a research institute with a very medical focus. Diamantina Institute's major research interests lie in cancer, particularly skin cancers and blood cancers, immunology, particularly arthritis and diabetes, and more recently in genetics and genomics, that is, developing genetic technologies to help people with diagnosing diseases and predicting those who are going to get disease, as well as working out what the basic causes of disease are. We've had some major successes in our time as an institute, dating back to Ian Fraser's development with Yan Zhu of the Gardasil vaccine for HPV infection, and more recently Professor Ranjani Thomas's outstanding work with dendritic cell vaccines for rheumatoid arthritis and possibly also diabetes and other autoimmune diseases. We also have an extremely large genetics and genomics capacity, which is giving new insights into the causes of arthritis, osteoporosis, different cancers and neurological diseases.
Hi, I'm Ian Fraser. I'm CEO and Research Director of the Translational Research Institute and also a researcher within the University of Queensland's Diamantina Institute. The Translational Research Institute was the brainchild of a number of researchers around Brisbane who decided that it would be a good idea to bring together researchers whose work was focused on providing benefit to patients. The University of Queensland Diamantina Institute houses my research team. We're very much focused on trying to understand how skin cancer arises and what brings on the changes in the skin beyond exposure to sunlight, which we all know is a major cause of skin cancer. So basically, my group consists of immunologists. We're interested in how the body defends itself against infections, and that work translates into how it defends itself against cancer. We're also interested in using that knowledge to understand better how viruses are controlled by the immune system, and have applied that knowledge to the development of vaccines to help prevent particularly papillomavirus and now more recently herpes virus. The combination of facilities at the Translational Research Institute that are available to the University of Queensland's Diamantina Institute are what makes the facility here unique. We have the ability to do basic research in the lab, to manufacture product through Biopharmaceuticals Australia and take it into the clinic in the Princess Alexandra Hospital. These three features together give this research work that's done here a unique internationally competitive edge in helping humankind.
We're working on diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, and we've made big inroads into understanding how the immune system brings these diseases about and how the genetics in those patients leads them to get disease. And we're using what we know about the immune system to design new treatments. And having designed that, we're putting those treatments into practice and developing those for use in clinical trials in those patients. We've been working with a cell type of the immune system called dendritic cells, and they're educators of the immune system, and we found that when we targeted them with a substance which comes from the natural product turmeric, so it's called curcumin, that it allows them to re-educate really active immune responses. And so we're using this knowledge to develop a treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. We're also looking at children at risk of and with juvenile diabetes, and trying to understand how the immune response comes about in those children, and then so that we can develop a treatment based on the same principles to extend to that disease as well. If we're successful in developing these novel forms of treatment, it would have a really major impact. There's a really big need for new treatments that will be both effective but also very specific in these diseases, because the current therapies, although they're effective in rheumatoid arthritis, don't cure anybody, and they also can't prevent disease, and they also have side effects based on the overall blocking of the immune system.
The Institute is home to state-of-the-art technology and infrastructure, and you'll find over 200 researchers and support staff here in an idyllic location. Brisbane is sunny, social and a great place to live. UQDI provides an innovative research environment by stimulating interaction between biomedical and clinical researchers with the shared vision of coming up with new ways to treat and prevent disease, with some significant research successes so far.
Broadly, we investigate immune surveillance of cancer. So, for example, how the immune system can target and recognise cancer in a similar way to how it might recognise bacterial and viral infections. And then using that knowledge to develop immune-based therapies for a wide range of cancers.
I'm studying a group of disorders called skeletal dysplasias. And skeletal dysplasias affect how bones grow and develop. Everybody who has a dwarfism has a skeletal dysplasia, but not everybody with skeletal dysplasia has dwarfism. Now we're interested in finding new genes that cause skeletal dysplasias, but also in developing better tests to detect mutations in known genes with skeletal dysplasias. So my background is as a genetic counsellor, and I came here as a study coordinator on the skeletal dysplasia project. And when I got here, I was predominantly recruiting patients, taking family histories, medical histories, etc. And as I was here, I realized that nobody was available to analyze the data that was coming out of the sequencing results. And so I asked Paul Leo, our bioinformatician, if he could teach me how to analyze this data. He said, sure, no problem. So I started analyzing it, and I started finding genes. And I found it was so exciting, this whole element of Sherlock Holmes, this gene interacts with that gene, and that gene is known to cause this condition. So I got hooked. I'm very excited about the impact that this research could have. If you can think about it, if we find new genes that cause abnormalities in bone growth and development, it's going to give us a lot more opportunities when we think about treatment and prevention in a lot of these conditions. I'm also interested about the genetic testing side of things. The idea that we're working to develop techniques which allow us to sequence all 30,000 genes in one step. We're going to be able to sequence people with rare disorders and look pointedly at the genes that we know of and say, we've scanned these 150 genes in one step, we know you carry a mutation in that gene. And that's incredibly powerful for these families and individuals as they think about, future family planning and just coping and adapting to genetic conditions.
My work is focused on a group of rheumatic conditions called spondyloarthropathy, and we've been using both human tissue as well as preclinical models to have a look at a particular group of immune cells that might be involved in causing the diseases. We really hope that by looking into this targeted immune pathway, we'll be able to come up with some viable therapeutic options for patients with these rheumatological conditions. One of the main goals of my research is that, given I'm a rheumatologist, so I see patients and look after patients who have rheumatological diseases, is really to connect the clinic to the laboratory work that we do. And so a major focus of our research is obviously translating potential and actual findings from the lab to the clinic, but also the other way around, so that we can bring questions back from the clinic into the laboratory. And that's a real focus of what I'd like to do over the next few years.
So for the last 22 years I've been working on various aspects of blood cell biology, how blood cells grow, and more recently in the last decade I've been working on blood cancers itself. So in about 2005 through to about 2007 we were very successful in discovering some of the genetic mutations that are responsible for a series of diseases called the MPNs, and these are caused by mutations in a gene called JAK2. I guess people may be interested to know that that work has subsequently been taken through to developing a drug, so that now that patients with an MPN that have a JAK2 mutation have a new, much more successful therapy than they previously had.
At the moment I'm a postdoc researcher in the Saunders lab, and I've actually got a project where we're trying to use next generation sequencing technology to see if there are any potential infectious diseases which might be implicated in breast cancer. So my PhD was looking into a role for epigenetic dysregulation in squamous cell carcinoma of the head and neck. So unfortunately there have been no new therapies for squamous cell carcinoma in recent decades, and my research actually discovered a potential novel therapeutic target in head and neck squamous cell carcinoma.
The UQ Diamantina Institute is home to a unique teaching laboratory. The workshops and immersion programs for school students are designed to promote excellence and innovation in biomedical and biological education to inspire our next generation of young scientists.
SparkEd, or Students Performing Advanced Research Queensland, is a unique initiative of the University of Queensland Diamantina Institute and Queensland's Department of Education and Training. The idea behind SparkEd, which was started up by Professor Ian Fraser almost 5 years ago, is to put school students from across Queensland in contact with medical researchers at the cutting edge of science. What we do that's different to any other education outreach program is we put school students in touch with medical researchers and allow them to contribute to the work that these scientists are doing. They do week-long research immersion programs working on a project developed by the scientists with the idea that the results that they come up with at the end of the project makes a real contribution to medical science.
For more information about the UQ Diamantina Institute, please visit www.di.uq.edu.au or call 07 34 43 6 999.